This is the round of competition that ultimately determines their fate, the make-it-or-break-it moment. The ladies will have to demonstrate their ability to answer a thought-provoking final question. Sound simple? Easier said than done, especially when the whole country is watching. Here's how it works. Our panel of judges have prepared their own questions, so now we will ask each finalist to pick the name of the judge, who will then ask a final question. Ladies, you'll have 30 seconds before you hear the sound of this bell. Good luck. We begin with South Carolina. Hello, South Carolina, please pick out the name of a judge. Thank you. Judge number 5, Amy Teagarden.
Recent polls have shown a fifth of Americans can't locate the U.S. on a world map. Why do you think this is?
I personally believe that U.S. Americans are unable to do so because some people out there in our nation don't have maps, and I believe that our education, like such as in South Africa and the Iraq, everywhere like such as, and I believe that they should, our education over here in the U.S. should help the U.S. Or should help South Africa and should help the Iraq and the Asian countries, so we will be able to build up our future for our children.
Thank you very much, South Carolina.
I remember the day when Brian Cameron.
Contest master, fellow Toastmasters, and guests. I remember the day when I first stood up in the nursery. I was only 2 hours old. I know, you're surprised, and don't be. Because most people don't realize that infants, especially newborns, have incredible capacity to do amazing things. Not only did I stand up, but I started to sing. And my mother stood there in awe. And the doctor was on the floor. And my father helped him up. Not only did I sing, but I danced. And it was wonderful. It's really not that funny. Because I still remember it. And it was scary seeing those faces staring back at me. Remember, 2 hours of oxygen. That's all I had. And I was talking, dancing, singing. Oh yeah, I did my dad's taxes also. Well, it was 14th of April. What do you want? So, everybody, of course, was really surprised. And then the nurses came running in, and nobody could believe it. Okay, so he sings, he dances, he talks, he does taxes. I was kind of getting upset because I had this thing hanging off my belly button. So I took the scissor and I cut it. And that was wonderful. Cutting myself. Can I tell everybody something? It really hurt. So the next time the doctor comes at your kid, trying, oh, don't worry about it, let's just cut it off. It hurts, people! I remember. I don't know.
Thank you so much, everyone from Ted and Chris and Amy in particular. I cannot believe I'm here. I have not slept in weeks. Neil and I were sitting there comparing how little we've slept in anticipation for this. I've never been so nervous, and I do this when I'm nervous, I just realized. And so we started talking about this, and at the same time I thought about this massive group of people I knew, writers, editors, journalists, graduate students, assistant professors, you name it, all these people that had sort of flexible daily hours and an interest in the English word. I don't have an, hope to have an interest in the English language, but I'm not speaking it well right now. I'm trying. That clock has got me. All right.
Mr. President, before you arrived tonight, these wonderful people here, when we came in, gave Nancy and myself a welcome. That, plus this, and plus your kindness and generosity in honoring us by bringing us down here, will give us a memory that will live in our hearts forever. If I could just take a moment and I had an assignment the other day. Someone asked me to write a letter for a time capsule that is going to be opened in Los Angeles 100 years from now on our tricentennial. It sounded like an easy assignment. They suggested I write something about the problems and issues of the day, and I set out to do so, riding down the coast in an automobile, looking at the blue Pacific out on one side and the Santa Ynez Mountains on the other, and I couldn't help but wonder if it was going to be that beautiful 100 years from now as it was on that summer day. And then, as I tried to write, let your own minds turn to that task. You're going to write for people 100 years from now who know all about us. We know nothing about them. We don't know what kind of a world they'll be living in. That we live in a world in which the great powers have poised and aimed at each other horrible missiles of destruction, nuclear weapons that can in a matter of minutes arrive in each other's country and destroy virtually the civilized world we live in. And suddenly it dawned on me, those who would read this letter 100 years from now will know whether those missiles were fired. They will know whether we met our challenge, whether they have the freedoms that we have known up until now will depend on what we do here. Will they look back with appreciation and say, thank God for those people in 1976 who headed off that loss of freedom, who kept us now 100 years later free, who kept our world from nuclear destruction? And if we failed, they probably won't get to read the letter at all because it spoke of individual freedom, and they won't be allowed to talk of that or read of it. This is our challenge, and this is why here in this hall tonight, better than we've ever done before, we've got to quit talking to each other and about each other and go out and communicate to the world that we may be fewer in numbers than we've ever been, but we carry the message they're waiting for. We must go forth from here united, determined that what a great general said a few years ago is true. There is no substitute for victory. Mr. President,